Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk HBCU Sports. I'm your host, Mike Patton. I'm here with, again, Mr. Scott Wallace, who has a couple special jerseys he's sitting in front of. Who would those gentlemen be?
Throwing a shout out to my guy Penny. He signed a jersey. That's his Whites Creek high school jersey. Penny Collins, and also his father is right under me. Ricky Collins, who played at Pearl. Sorry about that. And the legend is that he wore number 23, and that's why Jordan wore it. I'm gonna keep that legend going. So shout out to them and to my over my right shoulder. That's Odell Bradley the third, who played at IUPUI. That's his Whites Creek jersey. I want to throw out. I have in my lounge. I have a jersey I call my Super Friends wall, and those are guys that I know that played in NFL, NBA. Joe Campbell's up there on my wall in my office at Fisk. I got Maurice Fitzgerald when he played at TSU, and I got Larry House up there above me. He played for the TSU and also the Seattle Seahawks with Steve Largent, and so it's a lot of history. And I put those jerseys up because I want people to be like, "Who is that?" That we have some way to talk about. Got a two-time Mr. Basketball, Bo Hodges, also Jalen Jones played for East is up there on my wall. So yeah, man, I got to shout my guys out right quick. What's going on, Mike?
Man, it's been an eventful time, I tell you that. And speaking of eventful time, of course, John Rothstein, who is a college basketball insider, he
Yep.
reported he reported, just going to say this, that Memphis assistant Nolan Smith was in the final stages of finalizing a deal to become the new Tennessee State University head men's basketball coach. Now, I
Yep.
just will say, said finalizing. It hasn't been final yet. So people just want to give y'all heads up. Nothing is final yet. It may be in the final stages. We don't know that answer just yet. And to say, according to our sources, it isn't complete yet. But
Yep.
we're just going to assume that eventually it will be complete. So if Nolan Smith is the new head coach, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And then also some of the candidates that we mentioned that you might have some thoughts on as well.
Well, Nolan Smith, that is a big name, and we talked about the last show that and athletic director Dr. Mickey Allen loves to have the big names. He loves to have the names that are former, professional players. Of course, Nolan Smith played at Duke under of Coach K, and he's one of the hottest coaching guys out there now. Right now, under the other Penny Hardaway at the University of Memphis. It would be a splash as far as a national splash. Locally, I don't know how they're taking it. I've had both sides of it. A lot of people have been talking about Josh Bone, as you know. For me, that is who I think would be the best fit for the job is Josh Bone. I'm not coming off of it. I know what John Rothstein's saying, but we have some guys that we've talked to. You talked to some people. I've talked to some people that has not been a final deal. If it has, of course, like we said last week with Eric Buggs or anybody else, the city will need to rally around whoever it is. However, I feel like there's at least one better candidate, and I'm not coming off of it, Mike, and that's Josh Bone.
I hear you, man. I mean, Josh has been around the program. He definitely has, played college ball, played high school ball, and played winning basketball overseas as well. So he has the pedigree. He knows the program in and out, and he's part of the city. So I totally, totally understand it. But what I will say is Nolan Smith definitely has some credentials as well. I just want to kind of run down those real quick
Yeah,
if you don't
run them
mind.
down for us.
Um,
Run them down for us, Mike.
all right. Well, for those that don't know, just going to get back to his playing days too.
Yep.
He was an All American, high school All American 2007, high school All American, played for Oak Hill Academy. For those that don't
Yep.
know, Ron Slay played there.
Yes.
And then multiple All Americans, Carmelo Anthony. I mean, you can go, the list goes on, Jerry Stackhouse.
Yep.
Ton of high school All Americans come out of there, and there's only one stoplight in that town. And the only thing you need to do there is to focus on playing basketball and go to school. That's it.
Yep.
So he actually was a All American, decided to go to Duke, played all 4 years there, and was a All-American and the Player of the Year in the ACC Conference in 2011. Played, of course, was the 21st overall selection by the Trailblazers in the 2011 NBA Draft. Played 4 seasons combined NBA, G League, and overseas. And also, of course, let's dive into his coaching resume. After he was done playing, 2016, he was a special assistant at Duke. Then he graduated to the director of basketball operations and player development, then the assistant coach. So he kind of matriculated through the staff, and then he left at the end of the 2022 season to join the Louisville staff. And
Mhm.
then he was there for a couple years, and then he was at Memphis for 1 year. So technically, he would be just basically moving from West Tennessee to Middle Tennessee. And after spending 1 year in Memphis, this is also hypothetical right now because he has not been named the head coach. I just want to keep letting people know that so we're not crowning a new head coach already. We're just saying the reports are that they are finalizing a deal. So, I mean, based off of all the things that I mentioned about him, plus also gotta also mention he was responsible for some high school All-Americans coming to Duke and some very
Yes.
talented players going to Louisville and to Memphis. So, given his resume, his pedigree of playing overseas, winning, playing for Coach K, I mean, what are your thoughts just overall on Nolan as a fit with the TSU Tigers?
Well, again, he is one of the hottest assistant coaching candidates across the country. And you read the pedigree, you read all those things, and it's very impressive. And to have be under Coach K, it's that speaks for itself. To play under him, to be at Oak Hill, to be around all these things, all these players, and I always talk about guys that the Steve Kerrs of the world, guys like that. Now he was All American at Oak Hill, but when you're not the guy on your team, and those guys end up to be better coaches. Phil Jackson, Steve Kerr, Bobby Knight, guys like that. That when they played, they weren't that great because they sat on the bench. They kind of watched, how things go on. They seem to be better coaches. When you get to the Larry Birds, that coach, they weren't as successful. When
Hmm.
it's because the things came real easy for those type of guys. So you take a Nolan Smith, who you look at all the other guys at Duke that are now coaches in college, coming from that Coach K tree. You can't deny that. You can't deny that.
Hmm.
Nashville is starving for a good team, whether it's even in other sports. We're starving for a winner. I never forget. I talked to Coach Franklin when he was at Vanderbilt, and I told him, if because he was winning, I said you could have the key to the city just because you're winning, and because no one else was really winning. The Titans were doing okay, the Predators were doing okay, but when he came in and he galvanized Vanderbilt University football. I know I'm getting off track here, but I just want to just show how important it is if you win here. He came to the
Hmm.
MLK Day parade the year after he just was played in the Music City Bowl. And you want to talk
Hmm.
about people just pining over him, and he had to have people like security over him because that's how much people appreciated Coach Franklin. If when you have Nolan Smith to come in, and not I don't know if he has any. You read his resume. I don't know if he has any Nashville ties, but if you win in Nashville, people are going to come, and that's
Hmm.
what we're starving for. Look at you every week you do a AFC South. And I was watching it yesterday, talking about the top 10, and not too many Titans are going to be top 10 from their positions right now. When
Hmm.
you go to Predators, how bad they are. Nashville SC is good. I'm not a follow soccer, so it is what it is. But you have a guy come in and win, especially at Tennessee State University, when not only North Nashville will come, but the whole city will come. That will be great. Resume is great, but again, I'm not.
I understand. I understand. Now, I will say this. It's going to be interesting to see how he's able to recruit at this level. Now,
Yeah,
one thing that I think gets overshadowed a little bit about Penny Collins, which a lot of people looked at, everything that he did here. One thing that gets overshadowed is the amount of top level talent he was able to bring to
mm-hmm.
Tennessee State University.
Yeah,
That is a level where if Nolan Smith is named the head coach, he's going to have to meet that level. And it'll be interesting just to see if he's able to bring some star level type players to Tennessee State University and, how he deals with kind of the churning rosters every single year with the transfer portal and NIL
mm-hmm.
deals and things like that and what he's able to bring there. I mean, to me, that's an interesting dynamic when it comes to him. I mean, don't you think that's something that's going to be watching, able to
Yeah,
watch
and
over the years?
yeah, I agree with that. And another to go on that, Mike, it's kind of and I hate to say, jobs on the line, but you got to look at the reality of Tennessee State University's situation right now. They have an interim president, all right?
Hmm.
And that means that he's not going to be the president he's going to be a president. They find somebody else. Basically, he's warming the seat for someone else. They just had and when you're sitting as the AD, you have a new football coach. The football team were very successful. They went to the playoffs last year. And then and they have a new coach, so you don't expect for them to continue that. That's going to be a restart. Your women's basketball coach is in her second year, and she's trying to build. Then you bring in somebody that's not from here as the men's basketball coach. It's going to be tough. Now the reality is too, Mike, and when I looked at this and when I saw it and my phone was blowing up when John Rothstein's tweet went out, or was it whatever it was when he put that out. The first thing I thought about is, can TSU pay Nolan Smith? Nolan Smith is coming from, and I'm just imagining. I don't know. I haven't looked up his salary, but I'm sure that his salary may be close to $300,000 a year. I would assume. I don't know. Now,
Hmm.
what would Nolan Smith come to take a pay cut to take the TSU head coaching job? I don't know. Got to think about the timing of it as well. This August, this is July, it's the middle of July. Students will be back on campus
Hmm.
in a couple of weeks. The team has been set. These players are dedicated to TSU, and you have a new
Hmm.
coach, a new system, and all those things coming in. That's going to be tough. That's why I mean it for me. It is going to be a tough situation if this is the case, and
Hmm.
they've already done they're trying to do some things over there to make it to set the platform. Nolan Smith would be nationally a great name for TSU. It would bring attention to TSU, just like when Master P's son came. Then
Hmm.
you see how long that lasted. They didn't even last about what 3 or 4 games.
Right.
And but you got national attention on that, but for how
Hmm.
long is the case? And when you look at Nashville is a great place. You think about the history of these guys coming to Nashville. Jerry Stackhouse was at
Hmm.
Vanderbilt. Trent Dilfer was at Lipscomb. Kenny Anderson was at Fisk. You think of
Hmm.
Eddie George was at TSU for football. When you think
Hmm.
about it, guys want to come to Nashville because Nashville is a great place to be. I mean, just how it is even just centered. It's centered around three major highways. 65, 24, and 40.
Hmm.
Nashville's booming. The country music, the people that live here. I'll never forget. I used to work the locker rooms at the Titan Stadium, and I talked to Jim Harbaugh, and he said that, man, when I retire, I'm gonna move to Nashville. So Nashville is a place that a lot of people want to be now.
Hmm.
And then think about we as reporters or whatever you want to call us. You don't get guys. It's not like New York. You don't get. It's not like Chicago or L.A. where you got guys just pining over you. You have we got nice guys as a reporter. Throwing out names like my friend Mike Oregon and people like that. that, or guys from 104.5, The Zone, The Mayor, Ron Slade. You don't have the type of reporters here that's going to be down your throat too much. You do have a couple here, but, so it's a good place to be as far as that is concerned as well. So Nolan Smith, if this is true, he'll have it would be tough. It would be a tough road. And the recruiting part, like you asked, I'm sure he can recruit because of the city. He can recruit because of his name. But when you talk about going up against teams, schools like UT, what about the NIL situation at Tennessee State University? You got to think about those things when you make those decisions. That's why somebody local, somebody that's true to it, that's going to fight, that's going to go through those hard times and have the city behind it is important. Once again, I know y'all sick of me saying this. Josh Bone is that
guy. Oh boy, but yeah, we do have some comments from Priscilla Holt Gillespie here. Said it will be tough, but they need to just stay focused. It's all mindset. He can't be distracted. Focus, and get the win. Also, another comment. Glad to see this young man come in. He will change the trajectory of Nashville in the sports arena. He will have to prove himself. He definitely will have to prove himself, for sure. Definitely talked about, Nolan Smith, and, it's going to be interesting because I don't know if he's going to have enough time to try to get the staff together or if he's going to change the staff over. That'll be an interesting thing to look at. And plus, the team right now, if he's going to get anyone, if he's indeed named the head coach, if he's going to get any other additional players and players leave, he's going to have to do that pretty doggone quickly because school starts in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But before we kind of head out, I did want to mention a report. Scoop B, Brandon Robinson, Scoop B, wonderful dude. Definitely always gets the scoop, hit Scoop B. But he actually put out not only the report about Nolan Smith potentially being the head coach, but he also mentioned a couple names that people know and love when it comes to NBA players. Now, I know everyone's caught up and focused on Nolan Smith's name, but there was a couple big names mentioned. I'm gonna start with one. The first one I'm gonna talk about. These names were contacted reportedly by Brandon Robinson, aka Scoop B. First name, NBA Hall of Famer, 6-time NBA champion, Scottie Pippen. Yes, it is reported by Scoop B that Scottie Pippen was contacted for this position. Can you imagine Scottie on the sideline, as petty as he is when it comes towards Michael Jordan, being the coach on the sidelines? Let somebody throw a bad pass. He's going to give him that look of disgust that he gave Michael Jordan, probably, right?
Yeah. And Scottie, I mean, I'm being a Bulls fan. He's definitely somebody that I would love to come here. He was here a lot now. He was here a lot a few years ago because his son, Scottie Pippen Jr., was at Vanderbilt. Me being affiliated with Fisk, Kenny Anderson and Scottie are great friends. And so Kenny they would hang out, and Coach Jerry Stackhouse was at Vanderbilt. But Scottie Pippen, has he said anything? He hasn't coached anything yet, as far as I know.
Not that I know of either.
Yeah, so that would be a splash. And again, that, it would, just like Miss Priscilla just said, it would change the trajectory of sports here in Nashville if you bring a Scottie Pippen in. And for me, I would love for Scottie Pippen to be a part of Tennessee State University. It would be the same, I believe, when you grabbed Eddie George to coach football. He would have to have a solid staff of guys that will be able to run practices and do things like that. Scottie would be the face, of course, of the organization. But remember, when Eddie George got here and he went to some games, he was frustrated because he looked behind him and there wasn't no fans there. And, he's beloved here in Nashville because of what he did for the Titans. Scottie Pippen, when you look in the stands, when they playing against, Tennessee Tech, and you have, 1,000, 1,200 people in the stands, and the band's not there because they're gone for winter break. how you're going to feel about that. So I would love for Scottie Pippen to do it, but understand these guys have egos, man, and they want to be their egos to be stroked and all that. Can TSU do that? And the best stroke is what's going to go in that pocket. So that's the
Yeah,
best stroke. So, but for
yeah,
me, that would be great. I would have to work with him. Whoever the Tennessee State University men's basketball coach is, they'd have to work with me and Scotty. It's two Scotties in the room, man. I don't know. He would be. I don't know if I like that. He'd be a bigger Scotty than me, man. He'll take over the Scotty Nashville championships. I don't know, man. But being honest with you, man, somebody like that would be great, for me. But the question is, with no coaching experience, how is that going to work?
right, right. And then he's got another son, I think, that's out there at in California playing basketball too. So he's gonna
Right,
want to see him play.
right.
What if he was to bring that son here to Tennessee State? That would be interesting too, because he's very talented as well.
He is. He is. He
But
may be his brother.
you know,
That's what I'm saying.
right.
Yep.
Right. It would be interesting, but definitely you bring up a great point about coaching experience. He doesn't really have a ton of it and having to be backed up by his staff. And then also you bring up another point you brought up earlier, actually, another point. Great players that try to become head coaches and how those things work out. Like for instance, with Larry Bird, the reason why Larry Bird was a good head coach was because he had Rick Carlisle right there
He did.
beside him.
He
And
did.
Rick Carlisle made him look great, especially
Yep.
with all the sets and things like he ran out there. Of course, we got another mention, no BS with Harriet and Sean. We got a big name, local grown, decorated athlete, Avery Patton. We did mention
Yep.
Avery the last time we convened on the
Oh
show.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Definitely. So we definitely
Avery
talked about
Patton.
it.
The Avery Patton would be, and again, I said the last time, he's someone that knows TSU. His wife, I believe she graduated from there. They have a long lineage of TSU. He's, at every football game, he comes to the basketball games. He coaches at East Magnet, which he can't come to too many basketball games because he's busy with his
Hmm.
team by then. But Avery Patton would be somebody who stabilizes the TSU, and he would bring some really strong assistant coaches with him to help out. But the guy can coach, man. I told you the best coaching job. You want a state championship, but the best coaching job he had, those guys that won a state championship were juniors that year. The next year they got knocked out in the sub-state, I believe, before in the sub-state. But that following year, when he had all freshmen and sophomores, he took that team back to Murfreesboro. And yes, he has a ring, and I got one in my over there because I worked with him that year. But that that team that he took to Murfreesboro that were all sophomores, they're now seniors this year. So we'll see what they can do now. Those guys were sophomores then. He took them to Murfreesboro. Now they're seniors. So we will see what, if he doesn't get called from TSU, what that team's going to do. He's excited about this team, and just um to be open with you all, I pined for him to be at Fisk last year too. And
Hmm.
he and I had some long conversations, and he said, I just can't leave this team. He said
Hmm.
that I want he wants to be a college coach. He's an All-American at Trevecca. But he said that team last year, which were a bunch of juniors, he said, I just got a great feeling about this team and I don't want to leave them. But holler at me in a couple of years is what he said to me. So we'll see. But that's a great name. Thank you for that. And that's my wife that did that. Harriet. She's a big Avery Patton fan. Thanks for watching, dear.
All right, all right. And of course, we got another comment said, "Hey, Mr. Wallace, it's MJ from the Enforcers. Great discussion so far."
MJ. So the Enforcers are a semi-pro women's football tackle team, and MJ Lyric.
Hmm.
I think that she played on the All-Star game this past week. Thank you, MJ, and we're going to be working together a whole lot. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, Mike. I don't know. You might have to have a women semi-pro talk here on your shows, man. It's a lot of great athletes out there, man. MJ's one. Uh, Aisha Evans is another one.
Hmm.
There's a few others out there, man, that you may have to have them on the show, man. They are and have to be mothers, to be working, to play football. And it's not something that you see at the high school level. Now you finally got flag football here in Tennessee, but tackle football, and you talk about some
Hmm.
tough ladies, man. It is, they are intense too, and they
Hmm.
travel, around the country to play. And MJ is one of the best players around here. So thank you, MJ, for watching, and I appreciate you, saying it's great talk. And we're gonna talk soon. We got some couple of things to talk about, and we're gonna talk soon. So yeah, man, you got to get some of these ladies on the show, man.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I do want to mention one other former NBA player. He's actually an assistant in the NBA right now,
Yep,
and his
yep.
name is Sam I Am Cassell. Now I know everyone remembers that nickname from when he was with the
Houston
Houston
Rockets.
Rockets.
Yep,
Yep. And he remember he was at Florida State. For those that don't remember, he played college basketball at Florida State when
yep.
Florida State wasn't really even talked about when it
Nope,
came to basketball. So
nope.
definitely would have been a talented guy. He is a guy that tells it like it is. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a superstar on the team or if
Mm,
you're the 12th man on the team. He's going to tell it to you like it is, whether you want to hear it or not. And I could see him being a coach that could, earn the respect of kids that are playing, but also give them that encouragement they need when they're doing well or need it at that point in time. So I could have seen him being a nice teacher at the college level, even though I will say he doesn't have any college experience in terms of coaching. But it would have been interesting just to see if that happened.
And remember, we talked about 2 weeks. I said that the best coaches are point guards, and Sam
Hmm.
Cassell played point in the NBA. Also, he was a good player, but he wasn't a fantastic player. We just talked about that, with how these guys that are great players don't make great coaches. He was a guy that was a six man, or he started some and all that, but he played on some teams that won a lot of games, and he was the role player on those teams and the leader as well. So those attributes that you have like that are great attributes to be a great coach. And like you said, he's no nonsense, man. He'll come in there and and just don't take anything off of those young men, there. And he would have a standard that that a lot of these young men are not used to. We're in the age of the participation trophy winners, and so he wouldn't I can guarantee you that Sam Cassell wouldn't come in giving anybody a trophy for just showing up, man. He would at a fit in Nashville again. Remember, man, we talk about this city of Nashville, how important it is for people across the world. You go, everybody talks about the traffic. 100 people moving to Nashville, every day. Those things. You have a great, a great, atmosphere here. So there are people that would come to Nashville, even the recruits come to Nashville just because of the city of Nashville. But
Hmm.
we got to think about, as far as Sam Cassell is concerned, again, these are great names, but can TSU pay them? That's the
Hmm.
question. And
Hmm.
understand that Mickey Allen is sitting there, that he is under a president that's an interim president. We can't forget that. And he has to
Hmm.
he has to find somebody who's going to come in here and win, because now that he does. And I shout out to the volleyball team. He has a great coach in Donica Sutton as a volleyball coach. He has a great coach, a softball coach that the name escapes me, but they've been there the longest now. Donica's
Coach
been there.
McGrath, Coach McGrath, Coach
Yeah,
McGrath,
Coach McGrath, whose husband played for the Titans.
Titans. Yeah,
Um,
Gerald McGrath.
yep, Gerald McGrath. And so you have those fringe sports, but those are not the sports that's going to be the money making sport. I went to TSU volleyball when they won. She went to Ohio State with them, and they have had a great. She has been great in even getting international players. If you want to see great volleyball, go down to the Keene Hall this fall, and you're going to see some great volleyball. If you're a volleyball fan, so Sam Cassell's a great name. Scottie Pippen's a great name. But can TSU break the bank to get these guys in? And a guy like Scottie Pippen, who has zero coaching experience, how can Mickey go to his president and say, I'm going to get Scottie Pippen in, and he wants, let's just say, $500,000?
Hmm.
Is the president going to be able to say that? when they're already in a financial crunch. They just got a lot of money, but I don't know how much of that money is going to go to athletics. And
Hmm.
they gotta understand about putting butts in the seat, excuse me, for football and also for basketball.
Hmm.
It's they do a good job. Nick Guerrero does a great job of marketing Fisk, and they have a lot of sponsors. And I'm very envious of them on how they do their marketing. And Nick's great. They just talked about and they do make smart moves. And I want to say this too, to Fisk. I mean, excuse me, to TSU's athletics, that they, even though everybody wanted that hockey team to start playing this year, they took a look at it and said, we're going to sit back for a year, and decided to start next year. And
Hmm.
I'm excited. I'm a hockey fan. I'm excited for them to get hockey, and I'm gonna ask Nick for some close seats, man, or something like that. We see if I can get Nick to do that. But they make smart moves over there. Don't get me wrong. So I'm very much intrigued about what they're going to do as far as the next men's basketball coach.
Right, right. Again, like we mentioned to start the show, Nolan Smith, Memphis assistant coach, I'm sorry, is being rumored and as the
Mhm.
deal being finalized, perhaps. It isn't final yet. So what we did was talked about that, mentioned a couple other guys that were actually contacted in Scottie Pippen and Sam Cassell, and just kind of just overall viewed the position. And by the way, I did look up how much in terms of Nolan Smith. It didn't say for Memphis, but it did say at Louisville he made 400,000 a year.
There it
So
is.
it
And do
is
you think that
definitely
he would go? You would think he would leave a $400,000 job to take a pay cut in Memphis? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Well, I will say this though, he did coach under a coach that did get let go at Louisville, so I think that's kind of
Yeah,
why he
too.
ended up in Memphis. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so you never know.
and then going to Memphis where you have the Memphis Grizzlies there, and that's another thing. The thing that you got to think about are the Rabbit fans, and if you go to a Memphis Grizzly game or the University of Memphis game, you have guys there. You're gonna have the fan base. I have a good friend. He's a correspondent for me, Art Rayner in Memphis. He was one of the first guys to hit me up and said, that'd be a great fit, for TSU. And,
Mhm.
we went back and forth a little bit on it, but Art understands the basketball trajectory of Memphis. Now, let's just be honest, Mike. We love Nashville, but Nashville is not Memphis when it comes to basketball.
Nope, you're
You got
correct.
NBA players talking about, they don't want to go to Memphis because it's dangerous. I don't guess they never been to Chicago before or LA or New York. But then they said, but then they're making this. I forgot who it was. I want to say it was Kenyon. I don't want to. Now let me just not throw a name out there. But one of the former NBA players said, they need to move. They need to move the Grizzlies to Nashville. It's not the same. It would not be the same. Would I want to have an NBA team? Yeah,
Right.
heck yeah. But Memphis and Nashville are not the same. We will support the Predators. We will support Nashville SC. But will we support a NBA team? NBA team has never been mentioned to be here in that. They're talking about MLB. They built
Hmm.
a few years ago, built a new stadium for the minor
The
league team.
sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sounds. And so you got to think about things like that as well. Nashville is not a basketball city. I come from the Chicago area. I come from Indiana,
Hmm.
where basketball is totally, even at the high school level, it is not even close to what Indiana has. And so I've been around basketball for savants and a lot of
Hmm.
people, but Nashville is just not a basketball city.
Right.
And
It isn't.
no. And
It isn't. You're right.
think about it. How many the last national championship that came out of Nashville in college basketball was TSU back in the 60s.
Hmm.
When was the last time
Right.
anybody came close from that? Vanderbilt, Belmont, Lipscomb, TSU with with Dr. Dick Barnett. Those are the last
Hmm.
time, the heydays
Hmm.
of
Right.
basketball here. Vanderbilt, they still talk about Memorial Magic. They don't even when they beat a good team, when they beat LSU with Shaq or whatever it is, it's a big deal because it's not something. Or if they beat Kentucky, it's a big deal. It's not like we were supposed to beat them. We're not. It's never that. It's
right.
UT, and it's going down the state. UT just made it to the started making it to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 now. So basketball is not the thing here in Nashville. And that's why I'm saying if anybody ever won, it would be fantastic. Belmont was going to the, was winning the OVC all the time, going to the NCAAs. But, now what? Lipscomb, last time TSU's been to the NCAAs has been a minute. Carlos Rogers, I think we talked about that last year.
That's correct.
So, Mike, yeah, it'd be great. Hersey, when Hersey, when Master P's son Hersey came, Hersey Miller came here. Master P. Actually, we interviewed my wife and I interviewed Master P.
I remember that interview.
Yeah, he made mention. He's like, I didn't realize y'all had these nice houses out in Nashville. This Nash Vegas out here, because we just don't. We're not that. We're not set up to be a basketball city. Now football. Now we'll go to UT. We'll drive out to UT and all that. But Memphis is in the state of Tennessee. Memphis is the place at the high school level, at the AAU level, at the college level in the state of Tennessee. That's where people want to go. And also now you got Rick Barnes at UT. Now UT is not. There will never be a basketball school. It's football rules on the mountain, on the hill out there. But you had the Ron Slays and guys like that were at UT. They left the city of Nashville and they went there. You think about the last time that Vanderbilt had, I can't even recall. You may be able to have a Nashville guy or Nashville, I'm going back to Drew Maddox and guys like that. I'm going back to
Sam
guys
Howard.
like that. Huh?
Sam Howard with Good Pasture. I remember him there.
Yeah,
Julian Terrell.
Sam Howard.
Let's see.
Mario Moore.
Mario Moore.
You're going back a little ways now, Mike. You think about it, the Nashville guys that stayed. Brandon Miller wasn't going to Vanderbilt.
Nope.
Darius Garland wasn't going to Vanderbilt. Well, Darius Garland did go to Vanderbilt.
He did. But he only played like 10 games, though. He only played 10 games.
Darius Garland, shout out Gary, Indiana's own. He grew up in Gary, Indiana, which is my hometown. His dad, Winston Garland, played in the NBA. His dad decided to bring Darius here when he was a freshman in high school. Won a couple of state championships.
It was before then.
It was like seventh grade. Won a couple of state championships at Brentwood Academy. Won one with Marcus Fitzgerald Jr. But he's the last one. Now he's in the NBA. He's the last. But between Darius Garland, who's the next guy that was a star that was from Nashville and went to Vanderbilt?
Right. I mean, I can name guys that played that went to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But like a Sam Howard, a Julian Terrell. But other than that, I can't give you one that was a star. I just want to get to one of the comments over here. When we're talking about Nolan Smith and his paycheck, and what he said, he needs some backing. Sit down and tell him your worth. At some point, you're not up for negotiations. Write your own paycheck. That sounds good. But it don't sound good with Tennessee State right now and the financial crisis going on there. And then also another name mentioned, Brandon Wright. Yes, he went to my high school, so I definitely know who Brandon Wright is. Him and Josh Bone actually were high school teammates. Won 4 straight high school state championships.
And he's a guy that took it that has AAU teams winning big time as women girls teams that people joining Brandon Wright, and shout out to him, man. He's a guy that has done it, and he sits back in the shadows and does his thing here in Nashville. He doesn't want all the fanfare and all that good stuff. He wants to help, and we shout out to you, Brandon Wright, and Miss Priscilla. You need to get her on the show, man. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, she definitely is mentioned throwing out names. Corey Brewer, I remember that name. Of course, Portland up there right by the border. Yep,
Portland. Right before you get to Kentucky, he went to Florida. Yeah, where is Corey? I haven't seen Corey in a long time. Is he still around?
That's a good question. I don't know where he
Yeah,
is right now, but
I'm gonna have to
but yeah, man,
that guy.
we
Go ahead.
gotta wrap it up, man, because we over here going all off the rails, man. We started Tennessee State, then we started touring the entire state, man. So,
There it
but
is.
yeah, it was a
There it
great well, it was a great show talking about Tennessee State, talking about potential of Nolan Smith being the head coach there, and a few other names that were sprinkled in there and were contacted. Want to thank you all for tuning into the show. Scott, you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media and anything
is.
going on at Fisk?
SE Wallace 615 on Instagram, Scott Wallace on Facebook. I ain't on Twitter too much. And let me shout out, I got in trouble because I shouted out the volleyball team last time. I didn't mention a couple of young ladies that are from Nashville. Nyla Gupton, who's the libero on the team, and also the All-American. She's going to be an upcoming junior. Reagan Jones is on that volleyball team. But I am going to shout out the men's basketball team, Coach Jeremiah Crutcher. He's gonna have, this is his second year, and he's gonna have a great team. Simeon Williams, a local guy from MLK, and guys like Mark Cooper and Kalen Benton Hamilton and Mitch C. Those names are gonna be guys that you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear a lot about. Caleb Jeffries, who's out of Memphis. He's gonna be a freshman. We're touting him as the freshman year in the conference. So shout out to the men's basketball team, women's basketball team. I'm gonna get to y'all next show. So. And of course, the gymnastics team, Nashville's nieces, will be back in town pretty soon. So shout out to Fisk University and our illustrious athletic director, Valencia Jordan.
All right, and of course, I am Mike Patton. Before I get to me, I do want to mention a few other things. Priscilla definitely said this was awesome. Thank you, Priscilla.
Yes.
Of course, I got an answer on Corey Brewer. He's an assistant coach in the NBA now.
Is that
Didn't know
Jay?
he was still doing that. Jay
Yeah.
said Corey Brewer is an assistant coach in the NBA now.
Okay.
Now we did have another name mentioned, and I remember her. She played at the University of Kentucky. That would be Victoria Dunlap.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Played in the
Yep.
WNBA as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did. And
She
we've
played in
got
the
let's see, we got one other comment, I believe. If I can get to it. If I can get this comment out of here. I can't get this comment off. It's just fun. You gotta love it when your screen gets stuck. But it is what it
Why
is,
you
man.
trying to do that? I did get in trouble last week because I didn't shout out the lovely
There we
Harriet
go.
Wallace, who is the love of my life. And I hope I get out of the doghouse for saying that. Shout out to you, baby. This great lighting that you see, she's the
Mhm.
lighting person, man. She got this ring light in front of me that I'm gonna be blind until tomorrow morning. So thank you, baby.
And she did mention another head coach said the women head coach. Let's go. That's an
Oh,
idea
hey,
too.
hey, they've had it before.
It's happened
Teresa
before.
Phillips.
That's what I was gonna say. It's happened before.
That's my big sis, Teresa Phillips. She
Uh-huh.
decided, hey, you know what? This coach acting a fool. Give me the clipboard, and she became the
Right.
first woman to coach a Division I NCAA men's basketball team,
He did
and
pretty good.
she did. And you know what? I'm afraid of her still. So and she may come out of retirement and be like, give me the clipboard. You know that, and she'll do it. I just Rob Covington had his camp there, and she was there, and we talked. And you want to talk about a plethora of information. Also, that's another jersey I have hanging up in my office at
Mhm,
Fiscus. Is her jersey.
mhm,
Teresa Phillips, who was a star at Vanderbilt, Tennessee Hall of Famer
mhm.
Teresa.
That's right. That's right. Of course, we got to wrap everything up. Of course, my name is Mike Patton. You can find me on all social medias. Well, you can find me on all social medias, but just different names. Of course, on the artist formerly known as Twitter, you can find me there, Mike Patton 82. That's MikePaton 82. On Instagram and Threads, you can find me there at that's THA, not THE, underscore general underscore MP. And of course, you can find this show, Let's Talk HBCU Sports, as well as my other couple shows on the Mike Patton Network on YouTube. Just look it up. You'll find it. Enjoy. We've got something for everybody. Thank you
And
all
let us
for
know if
tuning
y'all
in.
want us to keep this going now. Keep with the HBCU sports, Nashville. Let us know, y'all.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, you want to see it more? We'll bring more. Let us know. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Let's Talk HBCU Sports. We're out.